All right, good afternoon, everybody. Everybody looks awake. That's impressive. Got some snacks, got to walk around for a minute. So this afternoon, this is our final session. We are going to talk about mobilizing community solutions. So we have explored the significance of protecting childhood, the vital role of the faith community in supporting children in foster care, and the power of genuine relationships. And so from our work at the Fostering Hope Closet, we see every day how these issues touch real children and families. So this afternoon, we're gonna dive into practical, hands-on ways that you can make a meaningful impact in the foster care community. The foster care system is overwhelmed. Social workers handle thousands of hotline calls and investigations. They see more children entering foster care every single day. In this circuit, it's an average of about 90 a year. They face placement disruptions, and they must scramble to find new homes. They manage large caseloads and experience high turnover because the work is extremely demanding and emotionally taxing. And then, of course, the foster families. Over half of the foster families in this area are kinship placements, grandparents, great-grandparents. Oftentimes, they have little or no formal training. The traditional foster parents are inundated weekly and sometimes daily with calls to take more kids. Often, they face a lack of support, and they also experience high turnover because once you've adopted 5, 6, 7, 8 kids, do you think you're gonna close your home? Yes. Also, when they don't have the support that they need, a lot of times foster families say, hey, I can't do this anymore, and they walk away. But even when the experiences are good, because there's a constant supply of children entering foster care, there is a constant demand for more foster families. Kelly had also talked about how long kids are in care. So the Torres family was very blessed, 12 months. That should be the gold standard, 12 months or less. Do you know what the average length of time in foster care is? In Laclede County, 39.5 months. That is over 3 years. That is a very long time. That's very hard on the biological parents working towards reunification, and that is very hard on the foster families who are seeking some sort of permanency and the case to be closed. But as we have mentioned multiple times today, foster care is not just the government's responsibility. It is the community's as well. These are children and families right here in our community. They are our neighbors, our children's classmates, and friends. In the 26th Circuit alone, there are currently 149 active prevention cases, meaning families that are working services to try to rectify so that their children don't enter foster care. Out of those 149 active cases, that represents 369 children that at any point are at risk of entering foster care. Then currently in foster care, 413 children in this community. That is a rate of 50% higher than the state average. Now, I share these statistics because every statistic represents a child with a story, a family under stress, and a community begging for support. Through intentional action, compassion, and partnership, we can help change these stories for the better. Just like a thermostat signals when the temperature needs adjusting, foster care levels reveal when our community needs greater support and compassion. These numbers remind us that children and families right here in our community need help. So we're going to explore practical ways to invest in these children and families, to prevent crisis, to support them during challenging times, and ultimately strengthen families, keep kids safe, and build a healthier, more resilient community. The Fostering Hope Closet is incredibly blessed with generous community that donates beds, cribs, car seats, clothes, hygiene items, mattresses. We did a summer donation drive. We had 23 different items, and we asked the community to commit to 100 of each of those items. Just pick one item and give me 100 of it. Toothbrushes, toothpaste, deodorant. And churches and individuals and organizations said, I can do this one thing. And within weeks, we had all of them committed. Over $10,000 worth of items was donated. Absolutely incredible. These gifts meet real needs that make a tangible difference every single day. And when specific items are unavailable, either because they're rarely donated, like a brand new car seat, those are pretty expensive. We don't get those donated, ever. Or they're too bulky for us to store. So if someone calls and says, hey, I have a washer and dryer, they're still working okay, I just went ahead and got new ones, that's great, but our building is full. And we have 3 storage units that are also full. So what do we do when those situations arise? Because we don't want to tell them no, because we know as soon as we say no, we're going to have somebody call and say, hey, my washing machine just quit working. And so what we do is we turn to our critical faith-based partners through Care Portal so that we can request those items as needs arise. And so here to share more about Care Portal is Emily Ellis, Regional Director for Laclede County Care Portal.
All right, like she said, my name's Emily Ellis, and I'm the Regional Manager for Care Portal. So I'm going to share a little bit about myself, my heart, my passion for this organization that I found out about 2 years ago now. So I grew up in Buffalo, not very far from here, was in and out of the foster care system. My mom worked multiple jobs and got with men she shouldn't have gotten with, and my dad was an alcoholic and a drug addict and in and out of prison my entire life. So because of that, I was in and out of foster care, and whenever I wasn't in foster care, I was in kinship placement with family members. And then at 15, I was on my own. I was couch surfing, and it was because of my coaches and people in my life are the reasons why I'm where I'm at today, because they saw me, they cared about me. So I'm going to backtrack just a little bit. At 7 years old, whenever we actually exited the foster care system and were just in kinship placement at that point, there was a family in the community who saw my mom. She went in the same gas station every day to buy her cigarettes. And they knew that she was about to get her kids out of foster care. And so they came over, they invited us to do things. It was because of that family that we got Christmas and Thanksgiving and school supplies and everything that you could imagine. They were like our grandparents. They really acted as that. And so they invited us, they came to our home, they did all of those things, and then they invited us to church. And so my mom's like, yeah, free babysitting, take my kids to church. And so we went to church. Another caveat to my story is my mom taught me that all men were bad, and because of the men I had seen in my life, I believed her. She had taught my whole life, you don't need a man, you can do everything you want to do on your own. And so because of the men that I had seen in my life and what she had taught me, I believed that. So the first Wednesday night they took us to church, there were 2 men standing at the door greeting, and I told the lady that took us, I'm not going inside. And this part of the story is really important. She sat in the car with me. She didn't take me home. She just sat there, and she said, it's okay, we don't have to go inside if you're uncomfortable. The next week, she invited us back, and we went to church again. And again, there were 2 men standing at the door greeting. I said, I'm not going inside. And she said, okay. And so she sat there with me again. For 3 weeks, she sat there. Knowing now, looking back, she talked to the pastor's wife that third week and said, hey, I have a girl who won't come inside because there's 2 men standing at the door. Would you greet this week? So she did, and that third week I went inside, and as soon as I stepped through the doors, the pastor of the church acted like a magician and pulled candy out of my ear. And I still remember, I had the feeling, and I probably audibly said, oh, not all men are bad. And that was the first time in my life that I saw a man that wasn't a drug addict or an alcoholic. And I went to church at that point because I felt loved, and I had a meal, and they saw me. And so a couple years later, that family would come pick us up and take us to church. And then they were having vacation Bible school. And the only time we could go to church is if we had a ride. And so 11 years old, they said, Emily, why don't you come to vacation Bible school? I said, I would love to, but I don't have a ride, and I live too far out of town to walk here. And they said, okay, if you will fill the van, because you live so far out of town, we will start a van ministry for you. I said, okay. So at 11 years old, I walked across the street, knocked on every trailer park door, and I invited all the kids in the trailer park, and we filled the van. And they started that van ministry because I walked across the street and invited all the kids I could think and said, you guys need to come to this. It's so much fun. And it was at that vacation Bible school that I understood that even though I didn't have an earthly father and I didn't know what that meant, my heavenly Father loved me so much and created me for a purpose, and I gave my life to him that year. And from that point on, my life has looked completely different. Thank you. And so fast forward a couple more years, at 14 years old, I went to church camp, and I wrote in my journal at church camp that year, God, I'll do anything you want me to do except stay in Buffalo. I wanted to get as far away from Buffalo as I possibly could. And there's many reasons for that, but another caveat, never tell God that you don't want to do something, because he kind of, I don't know. Anyway, so I still have all my prayer journals, and now I look back, and in little tiny letters underneath that, I wrote in cursive, unless I get to serve kids that were just like me. And so fast forward to now, a couple years ago, I got asked to do an internship at a church in Buffalo. I was in college getting an intercultural degree to be a missionary overseas, and they asked me if I would do an internship, and I had to have one to finish my degree. And so there was a gentleman in the church that said, hey, Emily, I know your story, and I think I have something perfect for you. And I said, that's great, but in 6 months, I'm moving to Cape Verde, West Africa. I did an internship there, and I was planning to be a missionary overseas, and my trajectory for my life was exactly that. And he said, okay, I want you to pray about it. And I was like, okay, sure, I'll pray about it, but this is the plan I have for my life. And so I met my husband at this church. Well, he was not then my husband, but now husband at the church doing the internship, and he's now the pastor of that church. But I told that gentleman, okay, I'll consider it, because he took the associate pastor position a year or 2 years ago. And I said, okay, I'll consider it. So then I started researching Care Portal and what it does, and it does exactly what I wrote in my journal. Unless I get to help kids just like me, I get to empower the church to go out into the community and serve the kids that are, in my opinion, overlooked by a system designed to protect them. And so the church gets a unique opportunity to step in and to be the church. They get to go in, and kids that were just like me, who don't feel seen, don't feel loved, and feel overlooked, they get to go in and say, I see you, I love you. More importantly, Jesus sees you, loves you, and cares about you. And so I'm going to show you a quick video from our founder. The screen may be white, but I want you to just listen to it, because our founder says it a lot more elegantly than I do.
Care Portal is a care-sharing technology that drives action for kids and families in crisis. It offers the connection that we need to put our individual networks and resources together and make the most vulnerable children our priority. And here's how it works. Caseworkers encounter needs of children in crisis every single day, whether they work in child welfare or education, law enforcement, or community resource centers. Once a need's identified by one of these professionals, Care Portal provides an easy way for it to go through a review and approval process within their organization. After that, Care Portal immediately makes local churches and community members aware of the need, giving them a real-time opportunity to collaborate and respond. Through Care Portal, we are closer than ever to the ones who need our help. The platform is designed to equip and empower local churches to make meaningful connections at the point of care, and to allow anyone in the community to work together on any request. So whether it's one church that responds, or a community of churches and businesses and individuals working together, Care Portal makes it possible for there to be more than enough care for every child through the power of care sharing in local communities.
So many of our children and families in child welfare are isolated. They don't have a support system. Care Portal can provide not only the physical needs for the children and family, but can also provide a support system and relationships.
I look at Care Portal as a platform for us to be able to do ministry across denomination lines, across racial lines, across social economic lines, and the mission field is in our backyard.
Care Portal creates generosity-forward supply chains that get the right people involved at the right time, servicing and solving the types of immediate needs that place families at risk, and making meaningful connections that can lead to life transformation. By creating radical access to immediate needs, the community is empowered to step in. Caseworkers request, people and organizations respond, neighbor by neighbor, neighbor to neighbor. We prevent the preventable. It's the power of care sharing at work. Connection changes everything, and it's closer than ever before.
All right, so I'm gonna just share this in a nutshell. So Care Portal is a care sharing technology that drives action for local children and families in crisis. So exactly how does that work? We do it through a 4-step process. So step 1 is a child or family is in need, and that requires help from a child-serving professional. And so when I say that, I mean caseworkers, counselors at schools, school social workers, nonprofits in a community, a pregnancy resource center, anybody who sees a need from a child, and they're on the front lines. They're going to uncover those needs. Step 2 is they're going to submit that. So what do I mean when I say they're going to uncover a need? Our most requested items are beds, cribs, mattresses, anything to furnish a home, helping reunify families, so making sure they have everything they need when they do go home, rent and utility help, things for first-time moms, kids aging out of the foster care system, even things upstream, extermination help, things like that. Our goal in our heart is that we would be able to catch things upstream enough that kids never are on the brink of entering foster care, that the community and the church is doing what they're called to do, to love and take care of their community, so that we can end the foster care crisis we see. You heard the statistics of this county alone. It's heartbreaking, honestly, and it's time for the church, it's time for our community to step up and lock arms and draw a line in the sand and say no more. And so it's a really cool opportunity. So after they see the need, they're gonna submit it into our online platform, our dashboard. And Care Portal uses a back-end geopolitical radius, so the churches closest to the family in need are going to get notified, so that we know connection is actually what's going to change somebody. It's not going to be the tangible items. You heard it from Laura earlier. It's the relational support that somebody gets in the right moment that could change the trajectory of the outcome of their situation. And so we want to step into those situations with the people closest to them, and that's the churches positioned all over the county to serve the people in their backyard. And so our system does that. It shares it with whoever is on our platform. And then step 4 is that the church gets to click a button that says, yes, I can help, and they get to supply the tangible items to make a meaningful connection, to change the outcome of the family's life. We put people in the right positions at the right time to make a meaningful connection so that people know that they're not alone, that they are seen, and that there is a community that loves them and is going to rally around them and support them in a vulnerable time. And so in Laclede County, we launched less than a year ago, June. So we've just been here just over a year. We're in Webster County. We're about to reach our 1 year. We're going to be launching in Camden County in November. We're very excited about that. And then next on our radar will be Polk County. We're hoping to launch in Polk around March. We are nationwide in 37 states. In Missouri, I think we're in 35 counties in the state. We are county-based, so we move from county to county. And basically how it works is we go in and we partner with Children's Division, we partner with the nonprofits doing the work, and then we get churches involved, and we train our churches on how to actually show up at the doorstep. We get our school districts involved, businesses, we can have champions that help fund items so that the church can be the church. So they're not taking the whole financial load, but maybe there's a business in the community that wants to donate funding so the church can buy the bed to then make the meaningful connection to show the family Jesus. And so it's a beautiful, streamlined way to know of the needs in your community, because you'll never be able to convince me that there's not more than enough care in our community, more than enough people to take care of our community, to show Jesus. And we have churches positioned all over our counties that want to help. They just need to know how. And so if you want to get involved with Care Portal, it's very simple. You can go to careportal.org and you can sign up as an individual. If you are a church and we're not in your county yet, you can still sign up because it's going to ping it and we're going to know that there's interest there. So if you're not in Laclede County and you're here, you can still sign up. And if you're interested and you want more information, you can come talk to me, or our area director, Trina, is actually here. She's over the state of Missouri. She's here too. She can answer any of your questions. But I hope that if you guys have any questions, please come see me. I want to answer them. And if you want to get involved and you don't know how, again, please come see me.
Thank you, Emily. Yes, we utilize Care Portal. We pushed very hard to get it launched in this county because we cannot do everything, and we weren't called to. And we want to draw the community in to be a part of this. And even if we had the time to meet all the physical needs, I can't have 500 relationships and be effective, or be real and be genuine. It's just not possible. It's one-to-one. And so that is the piece that we love about Care Portal and being able to draw churches in, because how many people think, well, I'd like to help, but I'm not called to foster, but I don't know what else to do then. Well, this is one very tangible way that people can be involved. So take this back to your home church and talk to them about setting up a connection care group that is what they do, because Children's Division enters needs as well as we do. And a lot of times they are emergency needs. They are things that need to be met quickly. And so we want to be able to mobilize the community to take a part in that. So while we are so incredibly grateful that our shelves are full, financial support is critical to maintain the facility that houses the blessings and the people who distribute them. So just this week, we had a sibling pair come visit the closet, a 7-year-old girl and her 6-year-old brother, just entering foster care. At the Fostering Hope Closet, she lit up when she found a glittery pair of boots that fit her just perfectly, while her brother explored the playroom and found a Halloween costume. Together, they received new socks and underwear, 7 outfits each, new pillows with handmade pillowcases, Hope for the Journey bag, sweet cases, brand new shoes, hygiene items, milk, emotional support pickles, and so much more. Moments like these are only possible because the closet is open and ready to meet the needs of these children as they enter care. So if you had $30, you can go to the store and buy, my Vanna White over here, a box of diapers. That is what your $30 will buy you. But that same $30, given directly to the Fostering Hope Closet, allows us to provide hundreds of dollars worth of essential items, as you see here, bringing comfort, hope, and joy to children like this sibling group. So when we first planned this summit, our focus was very clear: community over government. And of course, in God's humor, the best way to test our resolve was that our state funding was vetoed, along with 207 other line items. So overnight, the funding that covered our operating expenses, our payroll, and our program expenses was gone. So after taking a moment, several months actually, to regroup, we are boldly asking the community to prayerfully consider becoming monthly financial partners, because we simply cannot do this alone. And the needs are both critical and never ending. Just $30 a month from 100 community partners will keep our doors open, our lights on, and ensure that we can continue providing essential items to children in foster care. So not only do we do emergency basis, but the families can come in once a month and shop, because in case you didn't know, kids grow and seasons change. We're actually in the middle of swapping out from summer to winter, and that is quite the job. Connie is our donation guru, so everybody give Connie a hand. She sorts all of the donations. But this turns the community generosity into life-changing impact. Beyond donations, we also need your time. Connie's amazing, but there's only one of her. Live to Give Hope and other local agencies cannot do this work alone. Most nonprofits, including Live to Give Hope, have 1 to 2 paid staff and a handful of faithful volunteers. The work is simply too large scale for this few of people. As Jesus reminds us in Matthew 9:37, the harvest is plentiful, but the workers are few. By joining in, we become, as Kelly said, the hands and feet of Jesus, stepping into harvest to care for children and families in our community. Together, we can make a tangible, lasting difference in their lives. Volunteering just 1 hour a week or a few hours a month can make a huge difference, not only easing the workload, but also providing encouragement and support for staff and volunteers who are daily pouring their heart into this ministry. And as we've talked about a lot today, Live to Give Hope not only needs your time and your resources, but the community needs families to step up and step in to foster, to welcome children into their homes. Because if not, the kids are moved from this community to a different community. And that tells me that we have failed them. We prolong the reunification process, and we risk adding further trauma by removing these children from everything that they know. Instead of a 12-month reunification, if the kids had been moved to St. Louis because there were no families here that were willing to take them, that would have made reunification significantly more difficult for Natalie and Jose. As followers of Christ, we are called to care for the fatherless, abused, and vulnerable. And fostering is a tangible way to live out this calling, showing God's love through action, providing consistency, as Hannah talked about, and giving children a chance to thrive. Your home could be the safe haven. Woo! That'll wake everybody up. Good job. That'll be the safe haven where a sibling group remains together, like these 4 beautiful children right here. So thankful they were not split up. where an older child finally feels seen and valued, like Emily talked about, and where a child can experience love, care, and belonging. The work of foster care is not only challenging, it is also, as Kelly said earlier, a spiritual battle. Every day, social workers, foster parents, parents working reunification, children in foster care, guardian ad litems, juvenile officers, law enforcement, and judges face decisions and circumstances that require wisdom, discernment, and strength. So we are seeking prayer partners to stand with us in lifting up everyone involved in the foster care system. So in your swag bag, you have a neon prayer request bookmark. Take that home. Be diligent in prayer because they need it. You can help bring encouragement and support to those who carry heavy burdens daily. Intercede for wisdom and discernment in every decision that affects a child's life. Pray for healing, restoration, and reunification when possible. Lead hearts toward a saving relationship with Jesus. Like I said before, every successful reunification we've seen, and we've only seen 3, guys, in 8 years of doing this work. 3 successful reunifications. But Jesus was at the core of all of them. What if we, God's people, stood in the gap to pray? How many more could we see come to a saving relationship with Jesus and their families put back together? Every commitment can have a powerful impact. Together, we can be the unseen yet vital force that strengthens the foster care community and brings light to children who need hope most. Okay, so this purple bag right here is called our Hope for the Journey bag. And we're going to watch a little video about that. For a child entering foster care, that day often starts just like any other day, but ends with them leaving everything they know behind. Home, family, school, friends, even their toothbrush. They are scared, confused, and far too often they walk into the unknown with nothing but a trash bag of hastily gathered belongings, if they have anything at all. This is where we step in. This is where you step in. The Hope for the Journey bag is more than a bag. It's a lifeline, a first glimpse of safety, a whisper of comfort, a tangible reminder that someone cares. Each bag is lovingly packed with brand new, age-appropriate hygiene items, a cozy blanket and soft pillow with a handmade pillowcase.
Is this my pillow? I love it.
A cuddly stuffed animal for comfort, coloring books and crayons for emotional relief, a Bible to speak peace and truth, a note of encouragement because words matter, especially now. These bags go with children on the hardest day of their lives. They won't fix everything, but they remind a hurting child that they are not invisible, not disposable, not alone. They carry more than essentials. They carry dignity. They carry hope. They carry the first piece of a new story. Every stitch in that pillowcase, every dollar donated, every hand that touched a bag today is part of restoring what trauma has stolen. Because foster care is not just a system issue, it's a community issue. And today, you are part of the solution.